Bienvenidos, ¿qué tal? Welcome everyone. Que Onda Magazine exclusive interview with Nichole Christoph, Deputy Director of Crime Stoppers Houston. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing wonderful.
Thank you so much for coming and visiting us today.
Our pleasure, and definitely thank you for providing the information so important, vital for our audience.
It is. And we're so fortunate and thankful to be able to share our message with the community.
Now, Nichole, how did Crime Stoppers get started, and whose idea was it?
So this is interesting. Crime Stoppers was started in 1976 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. There was a police officer named Greg McAleese that had a murder case that he couldn't get solved. And it happened in this really underserved area of Albuquerque. And he knew that citizens in that community had information, but they were too afraid to talk. They were too afraid to tell anybody what they knew, probably for fear of retribution or retaliation. So he convinced his boss and their local media to allow him to offer a reward under this program called Crime Stoppers. Took a little bit of time, but they finally said yes. He offered the very first Crime Stoppers reward, and within 24 hours that case was solved. The very first case, within 24 hours. So it proved to him that people just wanted and needed a way to share information.
Well, thank you for doing that. Now, let me ask you this, Nichole. What is the typical reward amount now, and how much money is paid out by Crime Stoppers in an average year?
Okay, so our reward, you probably hear on the news and read it in the newspaper, is up to $5,000. So the average reward is going to depend on the type of case that it is. So a capital murder case is going to be closer to the $5,000, and a lower type of case, like maybe a lower degree felony, would be lower than that. So they go anywhere from $300 to $5,000.
Now, with that said, who provides the money for Crime Stoppers day-to-day operation, and does reward money come from the same sources?
That's a good question, and I'm glad you asked. We are actually supported wholly on donations. So our prevention work and our nonprofit side is all donations from foundations, corporations, and individuals, but the reward part is the best part. The rewards are actually funded by Harris County probationers. So if you get put on probation in Harris County, the judge can order you to make a donation to Crime Stoppers. That money is put into a specific account that we use to pay the rewards. And you asked, we pay on average over $300,000 per year in cash rewards. And since we started in 1980, we paid over $12 million in cash rewards.
Thank you. I learned something new.
Yeah.
Now, do you have bilingual people on staff to handle tips and inquiries in Spanish?
Absolutely, we do. We have bilingual staff that man the phone line, but beyond that, our mobile app is available in over 30 different languages. So if a citizen of over 30 different languages wanted to report something, they could use that mobile app to report it in their own language. So we know and recognize that our community is so very diverse, and we need to be where they are and be able to take that information and do something with it.
Now, where do the most reliable tips about a criminal come from? Is it the perpetrator's family members, friends, co-workers, or some different category?
It's all of the above. It is absolutely all of the above. We obviously do not know who the tipsters are, but just through the course of conversation, sometimes you can tell that they're a close relative, maybe boyfriend or a girlfriend, a neighbor. We get tips all the time that say, I saw this guy on the news and I saw him walking down the street. don't know him at all, but just knew that they recognized that face and then they reported it. So it is absolutely just a little bit of everyone.
Interesting. Now, do you feature crimes related to human trafficking compared to murder or other violent crimes?
Yes, we will focus on any type of crime. We focus on a different crime topic each month, and human trafficking is one of our monthly initiatives. So recently we did an initiative on wanted human trafficking fugitives. And anytime law enforcement wants us to feature a fugitive related to that crime, we definitely will do that. Generally, the types of crimes that we feature are going to be like murders and aggravated robberies, sex crimes against children, hit and runs. We will feature any felony case that we're asked to feature.
I see. Now, how do you decide which crimes would be featured for the public to help you solve them? That was it, right?
That's a great question. So Crime Stoppers can't just go say, hey, we want to offer $5,000 on this specific case. We can only feature cases that are given to us by law enforcement. And we do that for several different reasons. One of which is we don't want to jeopardize the case. So if we put something out there that was not appropriate, it could jeopardize the prosecution of the case. And we don't want to put the victim or their family in any type of peril by saying something that law enforcement didn't give us permission to say. So we will feature cases that law enforcement give to us, but the media can offer say, like if you're reporting on a crime, if you have information, call Crime Stoppers. We don't have to put the case out to the media in order to receive a tip. So if you just happen to know something and you called Crime Stoppers and we didn't feature it, you're still going to be eligible for that reward.
Thank you. Que Onda Magazine is proud and very happy to help Crime Stoppers.
Thank you so much. We couldn't do it without our media partners. I mean, without you guys and without the citizens, there's no Crime Stoppers. You know, we need the media to put our cases out there, and we need the citizens that have information to come forward.
Thank you. And let me ask you the following. How do you protect the anonymity of people who provide tips to locate a suspect?
That is one of the best parts of Crime Stoppers. The anonymity is not just a good idea. It's state law. In Texas, we are not allowed to say who a tipster is if by chance we know who they are. It is, if I knew somebody called Crime Stoppers and I relayed that information to someone else, I'm going to be convicted of a crime. Beyond that, we do not collect any identifying information. We don't ask your name, we don't ask your phone number, we do not have caller ID, we do not record phone calls. Everything is done with a code number. So when you call Crime Stoppers, you're given a number that's unique to you. We take your information and tell you to call back within a certain amount of time. And while you're waiting to call back, we're forwarding that information to law enforcement. And if they relay back to us that your tip was productive and it led to the identification or arrest of a suspect, then we give you a code number and a specific bank to go to, and you go through the drive-through, give the teller a piece of paper with a code number on it, and then they give you an envelope with cash in it. You don't have to provide your ID or anything else, just a piece of paper with a number on it, and they say, thank you, here's your envelope.
Great, great. Now, Nichole, how have bond reform efforts made a difference in criminal activity in the Houston area?
It has definitely made a difference in criminal activity, and I think the biggest way that it has made the difference is that criminals know that they're going to be able to get out on a bond really quick, and that they're going to be a low bond, and it almost emboldens them to just thumb their nose at authorities. But the most important part about bond is it's only as good as the person is willing to abide by those conditions. And so if you're not willing to abide by those conditions, then it's really not going to serve the purpose that it is intended to.
True.
So.
And what can people in the community do to reduce crime?
I think the number one thing that people can do to reduce crime is be aware of the types of crimes that you could become a victim to. Know your surroundings, because if you can prevent yourself from becoming a victim, you've prevented a crime. And then if you share that information with your family and your loved ones, they then can prevent themselves from also becoming a victim of crime. Then beyond that, if you know something, if you happen to know somebody that has committed a crime or is wanted, report it. Call the tip line, 713-222-TIPS, or use our mobile app or our website. All three ways are anonymous, and nobody's going to know that you did it unless you told them. So that's the biggest thing.
I know the number by heart.
I'm glad.
Thank you so much for sharing all this information. And let me ask you something else, please. 2020 is a year we're not going to forget.
Never.
Crime. How was it during that year?
It did not stop. It did not stop. The pandemic did not stop crime. In fact, we saw increases in almost every type of violent crime, from murders to domestic violence, child abuse. They all increased, sadly. And it's, hopefully once people are feeling comfortable getting back out again, we might see that decrease again, because I feel like sometimes the desperation of a situation like the pandemic leads people to do things that they might not normally do. So, hopefully.
Now, Nichole, do you have a message to our Que Onda Magazine audience that you want to share with me?
I would love just to really make sure that the community knows that Crime Stoppers is a resource for them. We are here for them to take information that they don't feel comfortable sharing with law enforcement. As I said, we're not going to ask who they are. We're not going to ask their status here. We don't care. All we want is that information to help them solve that crime. And we will feature cases that they have been a victim of, and we will help them in any way that we can. And that's really the biggest thing. The community is the eyes and ears. And without them, we wouldn't be able to solve over 35,000 cases since we started. And we need them and appreciate them.
Great. Nichole, on behalf of Gabriel Esparza, on behalf of the Que Onda Magazine team and Que Onda Magazine audience, we would like to thank you, Crime Stoppers Houston, for this exclusive opportunity for this interview and for sharing this information with the community.
We can't thank you enough, and we appreciate it so much, and we are honored and blessed to be a part of this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.